You're watching the Community MMA.
Yes, this is a Community MMA. I'm Chris Cross, and we got breaking news right away. Delivered to us last night at UFC Vegas 67. It was announced that the UFC is releasing Francis Ngannou. Let me repeat that. The UFC is releasing Francis Ngannou, the current heavyweight champion. This is going to send shockwaves through the MMA community. And they also announced that we got Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones for the heavyweight title, the vacant heavyweight title at UFC 285. So this is absolutely crazy news. And it kind of confirms what I've been thinking. And that's it. Francis Ngannou was holding up the heavyweight division. I told you in the last podcast that this division makes me sick because it's just sitting there idle. And it seems that Ngannou, with, demanding a higher contract and all these things, and, should he get it, I'm sure, but probably not to the level that he wanted it, has decided to ride off into the sunset. And you can see there now, it is vacant. Ciryl Gane, number one, he'll take on Jon Jones. You also got Miocic there. Pavlovich will be getting in a title fight eventually. Curtis Blade's still hanging in there. Tai Tuivasa. But the reality is there's going to be a new champion, and it could very well be Jon Jones. We're getting into that prediction in a moment. But Dana White said, I've told you guys this before, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be, Dana White said. I think Francis is in a place right now where he doesn't want to take a lot of risk. I agree. He feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money. And that's crazy. We're going to let him do that, release him from his contract, and give up our right to the match. So that's Dana White weighing in. And, it's just crazy to me that Francis Ngannou is just walking away from the UFC. Maybe he goes into boxing, who knows? He's got a lot of options, but the fact is he could have fought 2-3 times a year, kept winning, getting the pay-per-view points and all that, but he decides to ride off into the sunset. So that's the way it goes. Before we get any further, we want to get this prediction to you right away. Of course, you'll see it again when UFC 285 fight week comes up, but it's going to be coming quick. So I think it's in early March, because in early March you got 285, and then mid-March you got 286. It's going to be back-to-back. It's going to be fireworks that month. But let's get into Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones. Detailed prediction. Stay tuned. In the heavyweight division for the heavyweight division vacant belt. Can't believe this one. Ciryl Gane will take on Jon Jones at UFC 285. Francis Ngannou has been released, and that leads us to the vacant belt situation. So now we got two divisions with a vacant belt, and let's get into this one. Both guys stand at 6 feet 4 inches. Of course, this will be a heavyweight division fight. Who knows what Jon Jones will come in at weight-wise, but Jones has an 84-inch reach, Ciryl Gane 81-inch reach. And both these guys have a big reach. I mean, 84 and 81, two guys above 80. It's crazy. Both guys will fight right-handed. Ciryl Gane lands about 5.1 significant strikes per minute. Jon Jones, 4.3. Jon Jones will land like 2 takedowns every 3 rounds normally, but now he's in a heavyweight, so we'll see. Ciryl Gane isn't really trying to get takedowns. He's going to try to stand up and break you down. Ciryl Gane, 55% takedown defense. Jon Jones, 95% takedown defense. And think about all the fights he's had. One of the best takedown defense percentages in the UFC that you'll ever see. 95% after as many fights as he had. It's crazy. Now, we haven't seen Jon Jones in a while, so hold off on him. Ciryl Gane won his last fight against Tai Tuivasa, 3rd round knockout. Lost to Ngannou by decision for the heavyweight title. Now, it's interesting in that fight because Gane led by 20 significant strikes. Very slow-paced fight, 63-43, but gave up 4 takedowns via Francis Ngannou, who had the knee problem in that fight. So he went with the takedown game, and it worked, thankfully for him. Now, prior to that, he KO'd Derek Lewis, beat Volkov, Rosenstrike, and did what he had to do, putting him in this position. He's only lost 1 fight. He's 11-1, and that was to Francis Ngannou. Now, Jon Jones, virtually undefeated, right? He had One fight he lost, it was a disqualification. Other than that, he hasn't lost. In his last 4 fights, he beat Dominic Reyes by decision, Thiago Santos split decision, Anthony Smith, Alexander Gustafsson, who he KO'd out. He KO'd, I'm sorry, in terms of Gustafsson. So, but he had a lot of decisions in the light heavyweight division. Now we haven't seen him, right, since February 8th, 2020. And you think about that, it'll be over 3 years since he's been in the octagon. So who knows what Jon Jones we're getting. He's going to be beefed up. He's going to look totally different. Will he be slower? I'm sure. But the stylistic matchup in this type of fight is probably better than the Ngannou fight, because both of these guys have similar styles. I mean, they're going to try to get in there and strike. It's going to be a lot of boxing, some kicking going on, things like that. You probably won't see a lot of takedowns. A lot of fundamental work on the feet is going to be at display, and they match up very well. Very, very well. And, you know, I'm going to be watching this fight rooting for Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones can win this fight. It's hard to say after 3 years of not seeing him, but it also means that his body is refreshed, right? He's been working out, putting on all types of muscle, getting used to that body weight. And, you know, it's going to be tough to come in and just fight the number 1 contender in the world in Ciryl Gane, who's a worthy opponent and very easily could be heavyweight champion in his own right. But with the break, with all the work that Jon Jones has been putting in, I'm saying he's going to come in and get the win here. I mean, he's one of the best fighters in UFC and MMA history, right? So I expect him not to let us down and get the win here, likely by decision, though. It's going to be one of those fights, and it'll come down to the 5th round. That's how close it'll be. But he'll move to 27-1 here in the heavyweight division and will win the heavyweight title. Think about that. 2-belt champ, you know, over the course of his career, which would be huge. So this fight goes down at UFC 285. So finally, we get Jon Jones, right? We finally get Jon Jones for the heavyweight title. He doesn't have to wait. He doesn't have to fight, you know, a fight like against Stipe or anything like that. He gets fast track right to the title. And maybe it wasn't Jon Jones all this time not wanting to fight. Maybe it was Francis Ngannou. But nonetheless, we finally get what we want, and that's Jon Jones fighting for the heavyweight title. And his patience was a virtue here, for sure. Absolutely patient in this, and it's probably a good thing because he got plenty of time to get ready for a heavyweight fight. And as promised, we made changes. First thing you got to notice in the dude list today is that Conor McGregor is not there. If a guy's not fighting for a long time, we're taking him off. Conor McGregor is still one of my favorite fighters. Jon Jones, always one of my favorite fighters. We haven't seen him in 3 years, so he wasn't on the dude list. Now he is. Skyrockets right to number 3. And we had to move Ciryl Gane up as well, just as a hedge your bet type of thing, because if Ciryl Gane wins, he's got to skyrocket to the top 10. I mean, it's the heavyweight champ. We didn't have Ngannou on there because of lack of fighting. I just don't like that. So that's the way the dude list looks right now. So you got a 3 versus 20 matchup for the heavyweight title. Make no mistake about it. So let's continue moving forward, right? Last night, UFC Vegas 67. It was a wild affair. And guess what? We started the night 1-0 in the main event as Sean Strickland got a decision win over Nassourdine Imavov, just like I told you he would. We started off 8-3 on the year in this first card, and right now we're rolling. We're rolling. So that's a great way to start the year for us, and we're over 70% already, and the goal is to try to maintain 70% or above throughout the year, which is very, very tough. You know, but for the most part, we're over 50% in every card. It's rare. We'll get those 2 or 3 cards a year where we're not, but, you know, right now we're starting the year off in good shape. And then you had a bunch of knockouts last night. A bunch of knockouts last night. Let's begin with Dan Ige. All right, fellas, come on. Oh, and Jack's with another. He's getting close on those uppercuts as he backs off. Head getting lower and lower. Oh, he takes a left. Oh, it's over. Woo. And it was just kind of an awkward roll on the way down, much like a football player would like roll his ankle. He just came down awkwardly, but I guess it wasn't that bad. So Damon Jackson's going to fall, man. Big upper. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, he was getting that head down. Yeah, and he went right down. Here we go in real time. Boom. Oh, nice. So Dan Ige with the big finish, man. Yeah, so Dan Ige getting the job done, setting the tone, going into the main event. No way to 5-round battle slowed things down. But at the end of the day, a lot of finishes, including Umar Nurmagomedov. Next up, Ketlin Vera versus Rockwell Pennington. Both of them are ranked. As I told you, 6 of the 10 fighters are ranked. Oh, big left by Umar. It's over. Yeah. Woo! With 20 seconds left in the round. I think I blinked. I think I blinked. So the big left by Umar, and that's over. That's it, man. KO win for Umar. Yeah, and this is a big win for him. 16-0, remains undefeated. And you'll see in a moment in the Q&A, a lot of people in support of Umar. He's got a lot of support. You got the last name Nurmagomedov and you're Khabib's cousin, you're getting the support. And that was the trending video of the night last night. Finish of the night, in my opinion. And then a fight we got wrong. Punahele Soriano goes down via Roman Kopylov. Check this out. Kopylov a little tired too. But, go back to the leg kicks. They were working. And a crazy pace by Roman Kopylov. Oh, another one to the rib, another leg kick. And Punahele's in trouble. And he's crumpled now, and that's it. The ref stops it. That's it. Wow, big win by Roman Kopylov. And I don't think Punahele's complaining on this one because he was kicked in the ribs several times. You could just see the grimaces. And finally, this last one, he just kind of crumpled down and covered up. And the ref jumped in about 5 seconds after that. Yeah, so Roman Kopylov finishes Soriano. That was a shocker to me. But that's the way it went down. You got to credit Kopylov in that fight. Ketlin Vera went down. Split decision loss to Rocky, a.k.a. Rockwell Pennington. She's on a 5-fight win streak and will be number 2 or 3 in the division. That's a wild comeback in her career. She's 34, and it's not too late to make a run for a title. I know that sounds like a shock to a lot of y'all, but Rocky Pennington is 1 fight away from Amanda Nunes. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. So good night. Great first night in the UFC. We got UFC 283 coming up this Saturday night. And we talked about this in detail. And we'll get to the predictions this week throughout the week on the podcast. Probably 1 or 2 each day. But light heavyweight vacant title. Number 2, Teixeira versus number 7, Jamal Hill. You got the flyweight title, fight 4. All the rematches in the UFC. You got Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. Let's go Moreno. Welterweight division, big fight. Gilbert Burns, number 5. Neil Magny, number 12. And then you also got Lauren Murphy versus Jessica Andrade. That's a banger. And Shogun Rua is going out in his last fight against Ihor Potieria. So some big fights coming up. Now, as we get into the Q&A, Anik DC says Nurmagomedov is not just a family name. They are the real deal. Yeah, and it seems like everyone under Khabib's wing, even though he's retired now as an MMA coach, just continues to win. Violet Rose, Young Eagle, the future champ. Very, very possible, for sure. Nanda Rafancia, the Young Eagle. Reem, keep it real raw, always weighing in. Easy money, he says. Yes, but he was a big favorite, so scary money, right? But easy money. Ken Gilreath. I go back to the Drew Dober fight. Khabib told him to put his leg over him or something like that. When he went for the Kimura, Islam did it right then and there. I'm still expecting him to beat Volk, but mentally this is very big in my opinion to lose Khabib, is what he's talking about. Don't understand why he would just stop in the middle of Islam's camp, at least corner him, then walk away. Just a little strange in timing. Yeah, it's certainly strange, right? I mean, it's certainly strange that he's walking away at a time when Islam Makhachev is in the middle of camp, really finalizing the camp now. We're just under a month away from that big title fight for the lightweight division, best in the UFC. And Khabib just decides to hang it up. And I haven't heard anything about Eagle FC, which he's the promoter of. And I have a feeling that he wants to start putting his time and effort into that. He's going to have minimal time now, and he's got to really focus on his time. And, you know, it would be like Dana White being a coach too. Think about that. It's just not enough time in the day. You got to do one or the other. And I really think that's what Khabib's going to do. Now, I don't have any confirmation of that. And he hasn't really spoke about that. But as a coach, he's retired. And I think he's going to start focusing on promoting Eagle FC and eventually try to compete with the UFC, which is going to be tough to do. But it's certainly possible because it is Khabib. So let's leave it at that. For now, this is your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day. And God bless. Peace.